I'm very happy. My wife is here. My parents are here. My kids are here. They're the reason that people have to read things without swearing, which I'm probably not going to do. Because if you do know me, you know that I'm always last because I'm the most offensive. So Furr is, it's kind of been labeled a modern gothic fairy tale. It's kind of noir meets paranormal, urban fantasy. There's all kinds of labels. But in the end, it's really about family and finding yourself. And with my parents here, I'd really just like to say I'm so glad that I don't have a mother like Jimmy Finn in this book's mother. But that being said, I'm going to skip past all of that depressing stuff and just read a little funny bit. I think it's funny anyways. I walk the empty, rain-soaked main street of Piedmont like a ghost until I come to the bottom of the hill and stumble across an ancient yellow tow truck out in front of what looks like a 60-year-old gas station and garage. I hear a blaring radio playing Lynyrd Skynyrd and machines buzzing and huffing from an open garage bay. So that's where I head first. There's somebody buried in the hood of an old truck, coverall-clad legs dangling out over the grill. I should interject here to explain this joke. Someone named Livingston tells this guy to go to this town and look for his uncle. That's all the setup you need. Excuse me, I say, trying to be polite after my previous encounter in the coffee shop. The song is picking up steam, as is whatever kind of compressed air powered tool he's blasting away with in there. So I holler louder, "Excuse me, are you Bob?" The head pops up into sight, looking around for the source of interruption like a chipmunk checking its surroundings. "Bob!" I yell. The head turns towards me. He's the native, Indian, First Nations, Kootenai. Fat Larry's uncle would be, right? He has a hound dog face with baggy eyes, close cropped mustache and goatee. His long hair is tied back tight against his head. His thick eyebrows, his hair, and his beard all run the same salt and pepper colors as his gray coveralls and the white t-shirt that shows underneath the collar. The name tag at his chest says Bob, so I'm praying that this is the place, that this is the guy. He switches off the machine, hops down from his workspace, snatches up a tiny remote control under a rag on the workbench, turning down the volume on the big guitar solo finale on Freebird. "Help you?" he says in a gruff but not unpleasant voice. I step up awkwardly and extend a hand. "Mr. Livingston, I presume?" I've been holding that one in my pocket since the Chinese restaurant. "What?" He looks at me, confused, and shuffles past me. "So sorry, I know. You must get that all the time." He looks at me over his nose, lifting his head like he should be wearing glasses. "Not really. My name's Dylan." He catches me off guard on that one. I stare like an idiot. "Bob? Dylan? Your name is Bob Dylan." "That's me," he says matter-of-factly, as if he's never heard of the other Bob Dylan. He turns back to the workbench and wipes his hands on the rag before he holds one out to me. I shake it, still slightly confused. "You must be Larry's friend." Yeah, we went to school together in Calgary." Still stumbling to put myself back on track. He climbs back up into the engine of the big truck, talking from inside the chest of the thing, voice clattering around between metal panels and bouncing back at me off of the concrete floor. "So you a McTeer or a Fallon? Have to be both, I guess, right?" He pops back up and looks closer at my face. I feel the ghost of sticky raisin-stained fingers on my cheek. "You got them McTeer eyes, though. Must be Barry's boy, the one that moved away." My name's Finn," I finally manage. Larry said you'd know where I need to go?" There's a momentary silence. No tools clanging, not even the sound of his breath. "You want to go up the mountain to your people. Benson Hall, right?" A sudden swell of emotion rises up out of my chest and bursts into a warm glow in my face. I feel high. Yes, please." Bob Dylan laughs from inside the truck, and the whole room rings with echoes of joy. "Been waiting a long time." The salt and pepper head pops up again. "Gonna have to wait just a little bit longer. Take me another hour or two to finish up on this manifold. He pauses, contemplating something. Should go see your cousin Jules. The look on my face amuses him. A lazy grin forms under his baggy eyes. Place is called Victory, right down the street. Should be going on stage right about now. Is he a musician or something? His laughter booms out from inside and underneath the truck again. He feels hopeful and warm. Something, he says. He turns the volume back up on his stereo, singing along as I hike my jacket up to face the rain. Take an umbrella, he says from somewhere inside the truck. Sorry? I look around me for what he's talking about. Umbrella! Still looking. I don't, where is it? Huh? He finally reappears from underneath the beast, this time rolling out across the floor. The umbrella? I ask again. I don't have one. I thought you might. You should. It's really coming down out there. He slides back under the beast. Yeah, thanks, I mumble as I step out into the downpour. I hear him laughing and singing even over the roar of the water pouring from the rooftops. Victory turns out to be a nightclub 3 blocks away. What anyone would be doing here at noon on a weekday is beyond me. I shake the rain off of my shoulders and my head, shove past a big metal door, and walk down a long, dark hallway. I emerge into a red-lit barroom roadhouse, straight out of any biker movie you've ever seen. The place is quiet except for a few straggling old men at the pool tables, and the big bald bastard behind the bar. He's a mountain of a man with a ripped-up Dead Kennedys t-shirt under a well-worn leather vest that reeks of beer, sweat, and weed. He has a long, wide scar running over his bald head and down across the left side of his face. I order a beer and climb onto a stool, swing around on my seat to get a better look at the place. Every wall, every table, every open space is made out of logs, but anathema to the false kitsch of the Jumpin' Jesus coffee shop. This place seems hewn out of the forest itself, so comfortable that it has its own musk. A weird combination of beer and whiskey and wood shavings, man sweat and oil and something animal, something wild. There's a stage across the back end of the place, 2 metal bars propped up in equal space in the middle of it, and a scattering of instruments leaned against the far wall. The big biker returns with my beer, clipped in his giant fist, and pops the cap against the counter, setting it down firm on the scarred oak of the bar. I'm looking for Jules, I say. He smirks, just on one side of his face, the opposite side of the scar, and he nods behind me as the lights dim and guitar fuzz backed by a solid heartbeat of drums comes from the big speakers either side of the stage. I recognize AC/DC from the guitar, but I can't place the song until Bon Scott starts his plaintive wail. I'm going to try and sing AC/DC, but don't hold it against me. She said she'd never been touched before. AC/DC's #1 fan says I did okay. The girl that creeps out of the darkness is thin and blonde, athletic, familiar. That she's attractive goes without saying, but the way she moves is hypnotic, every muscle under her absolute control. Men begin floating towards the stage as if under a spell. And by the time the chorus hits, there's dozens of them, wandered in from the street, standing wrapped at the edge of the stage, nodding in unison while she twists and spins, flinging herself around the pole, sliding and swirling around the stage like an acrobat. It's so natural, so free, that it becomes less a dance and more a primal call. The taut muscles of her legs flex and stretch with the beat as her arms move with the guitar rhythm, moving faster, smoother. She moves in perfect sync with the music. She has a tattoo on her hip, a vintage-style portrait of a woman in a headdress, but the headdress is a wolf hide. I can't catch a good look at her face, enshrouded with a mane of thick, honey-blonde hair, until she sweeps it aside with a flip of her head and looks directly at me, brilliant emerald eyes gleaming in the dark. I'm as entranced as the man at the stage, one more deer caught in her headlights, swaying like a zombie under her spell. The song comes to a screeching close, and she's neither out of breath nor showing a single bead of sweat. The men at her feet, on the other hand, mop their brows and stand breathless as she scoops up the mountain of $10 bills. No coins, no fives. We all watch in quiet awe as she moves off of the stage as mysteriously and suddenly as she appeared. The men slowly come to their senses, some of them seeming puzzled as to how they ended up in the strip club in the first place. I'm kind of wondering myself. A phone rings behind me and the bartender grunts his compliance before hanging up. He checks me out under half-closed lids, measures me up. "You Finn?" I nod. It takes me a second to be sure. That is at least a part of my name. Jules says go on back, door to the right of the stage. His eyes are already back on the glass. He's quite literally spit shining with his filthy rag. I'm halfway across the floor on shaky knees at the thought of this woman when he shouts after me. "I wouldn't be messing around if you know what's good for you. Should tear you to bits, man." I think he's smiling at me again, just not with the side of his face that he's pointing to, as if my teenage cousin ripped half of his face off. I wave him off and step to the door, knocking quietly. Woo!